Welcome back to BSTT. It's Ben here, and today I'm playing a game called NHL Hall of Fame or Not. So let's get right into the video. So basically the game is simple. I have a bunch of players picked out, and I'm explaining whether I think they're Hall of Fame or not. So let's get right in. Let's start. First, we have Artemi Panarin. I'm a little biased because I'm a Ranger fan, but I'm going to go over his stats first. In 508 games played, he has 187 goals, 382 assists, and 569 points. So he's above a point per game, which is great. Some of his awards and career accolades are: he won the Calder, he was a Hart finalist, and he was an All-Star. Personally, for me, I'm a big Ranger fan, big Panarin fan. I think he will in the future, but if he retired today, no. He does not, although he has the points being above a point per game, that's not it. You gotta have the accolades, you gotta have playoff experience, because he never won a cup. So, I think the furthest he's ever gotten is with the Rangers now. Because he's never gotten that far. That's not enough to be a Hall of Famer. That's Hall of very good players, All-Stars. That's the Hall of All-Stars, the Hall of Elite players, but not Hall of Fame. Patrick Marleau. 1,779 games played with 566 goals, 631 assists, and 1,197 points. His awards. He was an All-Star. He has the all-time games played record. He won the gold medal twice. And he has many Sharks team records. Like, I looked at it. He has, I think, more than 10. So, it's a lot. There are, like, different goal records, like, games played. For me, and I think he also won another award. I just forgot which one it was. For me, absolutely, he's a Hall of Fame. A lot of people are on the fence because he didn't have, like, towards the end of his career, he wasn't the best. But this was a player who, his peak, he was a 60 to 80 point scorer for a long time. And he was someone that's always been there. He has the all-time games played record, and he has almost 1,200 points. For me, that's a lock. I get that he's way under a point per game, but when you're that good, I think he's going to get in. The one thing, though, is if he would have won that cup with the Sharks against the Penguins, if he would have won that year, he'd be a lock, but oh well. I think he's in. So right now, keeping track, we have one player in the Hall of Fame and one not. So, next we got Chris Kunitz. In 1,022 games played, he had 268 goals, one shy of a funny number, 351 assists, and 619 points. His awards was he won the silver medal once, the gold medal once, the Stanley Cup 4 times, 3 with Pittsburgh, 1 with Anaheim, and he was NHL first team All-Star 1 year. Without a doubt, he is not in the Hall of Fame. Chris Kunitz, although he was a good player for some time, he was never a great player. He was never, like, that player who can lead a team, or is great, or one of the best players. He only won those cups because he won it with Anaheim when it was Corey Perry, Ryan Getzlaf, Teemu Selanne, Paul Kariya. And then he won it in Pittsburgh when it was Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and Fleury. And, without being honest, although he was a solid top 9 player his entire career, top 6 at most, a lot of his points he got because he's playing on a line with Crosby, who, in my opinion, is a top 5 player of all time. So, no. Maybe if he won another cup or two and put up another 150 points, I could consider it, but not really. So, right now we are 1-2. And we're 1-2. Sorry, I was writing that down to make sure I don't forget and mess up the whole thing. But yeah, next we have Marc-Edouard Vlasic, who was a solid two-way, mostly defensive defenseman for so long. And in his career, he had 76 goals, 270 assists, 346 points, with 1,161 games played. He had 2 silver medals and 2 gold medals. In my opinion, I'm on the fence about him. He does not have the stats to get in, and he's been watched for the last few years. But he was always a solid defenseman. But I'm going no. If he would have had the cup, it maybe would have brought him a little closer. But no. Because there are a bunch of players who didn't win a cup, who I'm not talking about today, like Brent Burns and Erik Karlsson, who both of them I have locks for the Hall of Fame, because although they didn't win a cup, they were still great defensemen, who were always top defensemen at their position. I'm not basing this solely off points, because he was more of a defensive defenseman, but he wasn't out there every game making the biggest impacts. That was more Brent Burns, who was scoring goals and an 80-point defenseman. When you have 20 goals and 80 point and around 70 to 80 points every year, you're a lock for the for your prime. You're a lock for the Hall of Fame. He was great. Marc-Edouard Vlasic, though, great defensive defenseman, bad contract, didn't age well, not gonna get in. 3-1, not Hall of Fame right now. Ryan Reeves. This is a fun one. His stats, he had 54 goals, 60 assists, 114 points in 755 games, and 2,601 hits. I'm a biased Ranger fan, but I think he's getting in the Hall of Fame. Think of it like this. He's one of the greatest enforcers of all time. And enforcers are a position also. You got to be good at it to stay in the league, because being an enforcer, most teams don't have him anymore, or they have one. And you have to, so that means that there are 32 enforcers in the NHL, and that means you have to be good to stay in the league. He's like 35 now, and yet he's still with us because he's that good. I've watched him play every game this year. He hustles more than anyone. He's the guy making the impact. And also, he's not a dirty player. Most of these guys who are leading the league in hits and all that, they lead the league in penalty minutes. He wasn't leading the league in penalty minutes this year. And in fact, I think on the Rangers, Ryan Strome had more penalty minutes than him. Could be wrong, but I think him and Nemeth both did. That's not... An enforcer does not have to be dirty. He is not dirty. He's a good person. A lot of these enforcers also aren't good people. He's a good person. I think he gets in 3-2. I could see why people say he's not going to get in, and realistically, he's not going to get in, but I think he deserves to get in. He's that guy. He's a great enforcer. Just think of it like that. The enforcers are just like goal scorers. They do their job to the best. He's the best enforcer in the league, and Gretzky was the greatest playmaker of all time. He's in the Hall of Fame. Patrick Roy and Martin Brodeur were the greatest goalies of all time. They're in the Hall of Fame. He's the greatest enforcer of all time. It makes sense. And although the other players were more skilled than I said, he has more skill at his own position. Corey Perry. In 1,176 games, Corey Perry had 405 goals, 453 assists, and 858 points. He had a lot of awards. He had 1 bronze medal, 5 gold medals, 1 Stanley Cup, and is currently in the conference finals whenever it starts. 4-time All-Star, 1-time Rocket Richard, 2-time first All-Star team, 1-time Hart winner. Corey Perry, although he fell off a cliff a few years ago when he went to Dallas, he was an elite player for a long time. Was he the best player when he won on his team when he won the Cup? No. There was a bunch of players better than him, like Solani, Correa, Getzlav, and a bunch of other players. You get what I mean. He was not the best player, because he was young. I think he was like 22 maybe when he won the Cup, but from then on, he was a great player. He only won the Hart once, but he was still good. And now this year that he signs with Tampa for like $700K, which is like NHL minimum, and then they throw him in on the power play. He starts playing great. I think he is a no-brainer into the Hall of Fame. I could see why people don't want him, why people say he shouldn't get in, but I disagree because he was that good of a player. In his prime, he was elite, and although it wasn't the longest prime, look at his awards. That's the difference between him and a guy like, I don't know, Panarin. Although Panarin has the points, he has the allocates. John Tavares. This is a fun one to talk about. He has 391 goals, 504 assists, 895 points in 949 games. And his awards and allocates are a 5-time gold medal winner, a 1-time all-rookie first team, a 6-time all-star, and a 1-time first all-star team. John Tavares is one of those guys who was one of the greatest scorers throughout the 2010s, but personally, I do not think he'll get in. He does not have the allocates and the points. Maybe in 5 years, you can make the case if Toronto can make it past the first round and they go on to win a cup, or he's an all-star 2 more times or something like that, or he wins an award, then maybe. But I think since he didn't win it in Long Island, and now in Toronto, he's been there for, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years. Yeah, 4 or 5 years he's been there now, and he hasn't won anything. I think no for now. But in the future, let's say he leaves Toronto, it all changes. Let's say he stays in Toronto, it could all change. I think in the future he'll get him, but for now, no. So now it is 4-3, not Hall of Famer. And the last one of the video, PK Subban. I'm not the biggest Subban fan. I think he's sometimes a dirty player, but let's give him respect. He was a top defenseman in the league for a while. So he had 115 goals, 352 assists, and 476 points in 834 games played. And his awards are 3-time gold medal winner, 1-time all-rookie team, 1-time Norris winner, NHL first all-star team 2 times, all-star 3 times, second all-star team 1 time. PK Subban, for a while, when he was in Montreal and when he was in Nashville, he was a great player. But after he went on the cover of NHL, it's like the Madden curse. He stopped being good. Or he stopped being that good. Personally, I think he's not a Hall of Famer. He had a really good prime, which lasted like 7 years, about that. But 7 years isn't Hall of Fame. You gotta have better seasons outside of that. And he went to the Devils to make them a playoff team. He went that year where it was him, Wayne Simmons, and Taylor Hall. The 3 of them. And Nico Hischier. And that year, I think they also had Jack Hughes that year. They did nothing. And he's still in New Jersey, and they haven't made the playoffs since. And now he has Dougie Hamilton. He's a player who's solid when he's on a good team, and he's good, but he can't win by himself, and he can't carry a team's D. So I think no, but I think he's borderline. So at the end of that, if you tally it up, you had 3 Hall of Famers and 5 not Hall of Famers. If you like this video, comment down below if you want to do it again. I might eventually with different players. Comment what players you want me to do it with. And please like, subscribe, and have a nice day. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!